Hi everyone, Stjepan here. In today's video I'm going to start a new series, Daily Chess Tests, and two of my friends who are going to recognize themselves in this, they keep asking me for positions to solve every day. So now I'm going to do this to help them and to help you guys as well, hopefully, with two positions every day, which will require intense concentration, in which the engine will be pretty much useless and which will help you develop your thinking during complex middle games and complex end games. Each day I'm going to give you one practical middle game position and one practical end game position, which you will hopefully try to solve. On the board you can see 4 rules which I think are required if you honestly want to improve your over-the-board chess and increase your rating over time. So solve the positions over a real board, set them up and solve them. Time yourself. Don't move the pieces when you analyze, and write your analysis down. Now, the suggested time, I think, is 15 minutes per position. I think that's good time. That's a solid amount of time to use in a real game over a critical position. So trust me, following these 4 rules is going to eventually help your over-the-board chess. So today's positions, both of them are from my training games, and both of them are extremely hard to understand, and both of them took me a lot of time to understand. Luckily, I did manage to do that during the games, and I did manage to win both of these games. I'm not going to tell you anything else about the positions. You can see the first one on the board, on the screen. Pause the video, set it up, solve it, and then continue the video. I'm going to give you the solution, and then we will continue with the second position. Okay, so this position seems easy to play for black. Why? Because you have 2 extra pawns and they are both fast pawns. However, on a closer examination, you can see that you're basically playing 2 pieces down. And I remember spending about 5 to 10 minutes in this position when I was playing it, because it's really hard to find moves. And more importantly, it's really hard to find plans. So the main issue in this position is that your knight is tied down to the f7 pawn. So basically, if you move your knight away, you lose. If you move your rook away, you lose the knight, and it simply doesn't work. If you move your b pawn, white takes it. You can move your g pawn or your f pawn. That doesn't really change the nature of the position. In fact, it may make your situation worse, considering that it cuts off some more squares from your king. So basically the only piece you can move is the a5 rook. So let's just see what happens. For example, if you make a mistake and play knight b6, thinking, oh, I'm going to jump into c4 with tempo and maybe push my pawn. Well, then you lose. This is basically a forced checkmate. Rook e7, king f6, rook f7, king g6, rook g7, and if your king goes to h6, I just chase it away. And finally bishop to c2, and that's it. The only move you have is king f6 and now mate. What else can you do? If you try a very tricky move, rook b6, it doesn't work. The idea is I'm going to give up my knight and then push my pawn. Well, rook takes knight, b3, rook e7 check, king to d6. You try to run away, and this is either going to be a draw by perpetual check, when white just checks you, or if you try to move to the other side, king c6, rook c7, and eventually king b5, bishop takes b3, and again you lose. So I wasn't really sure what to do here. I didn't know whether there was any way to win this position. Now I know, but I did manage to come up with a very tricky idea for my opponent to deal with, which I think is very important in practical games. One more thing, if you ever play the move rook to b5, which seems logical, then you simply lose to bishop a4, because once you move your rook away, then triple pressure over here. So my plan was, I want to get my pawn to b3 and play for a trick with rook b6. The idea behind pawn to b3 is that it prevents bishop to c2. So once the pawn gets to b3, I know I'm not going to lose. Worst case, it's a draw. So what I wanted to do was check the white king in a position from where it could be tempted to attack my b3 pawn. So I played rook a2 check. Now there are of course several options. If the king goes to c1, then you check it again, and it's basically stuck to the defense of the bishop, and this should be a draw, I think, by repetition, unless the king moves up eventually. So in the game, my opponent played king d3, and I played rook a3 check, and he can here play king to c2, where again I probably just played rook a1 and it's a draw. But he played king to d2, and eventually this was going to happen. I think I could try checking him until he does that, and I did manage to play the move b3. And now this is what I was calculating during my long think before I checked for the first time. This is the part that hopefully you saw. This is the trick that hopefully you saw that could help you win the game. White cannot attack this pawn. If white attacks it again, white loses. And that's exactly what happened in the game. If white doesn't attack the pawn, then you could be playing a4 soon. That means that this pawn is defended, this bishop is blocked in, and then rook a2 check could become very dangerous. So white has two very logical moves, which I think should have been considered by my opponent. He didn't think too long, he played king c3 and lost the game. And those two moves are either rook a b7 or rook c b7. Now, rook c to b7 should be a draw, because now I have this trick with rook b6 again, threatening to queen my pawn. And if he takes my knight, then I just play rook a2 check, king c3, rook a3 check. And if he ever takes this guy, it should be a draw. So he should really play king b2 and rook a2 and king c3 and rook a3. So that should be a draw. If instead he plays rook a to b7, now my trick, which I saw luckily during the game, with rook b6 doesn't work. If I play rook b6 now, why it doesn't work is that the knight is attacked and the rook is attacked. So now after rook takes d7, my rook is hanging. So if I play rook a2 check, he just play king d3, and if I push my pawn, he just takes my rook. So that doesn't work. Or after king d3, if I take on b7, then rook takes b7, and again I'm just a piece down. So after rook a to b7, I cannot play rook b6, so I should probably just play b2, and after rook takes b2, I play knight b6, trying to develop my pieces. And again, this position should be equal. I don't really have anything here, but yeah, it's playable. I did manage to get out of the bind that I was in. And in the game, my opponent played king c3, which I was really happy to see, because now, and this is the point of the whole trick, rook b6, and white loses whatever he does. If white takes on d7, this is a forced win, b2 check, king to d2. And during the game, I first thought I had to take the knight, because I have the queen with check to avoid perpetual check, but then I saw that just b1 equals queen, and after rook e7 I just get out, and eventually I escape. So that's it. And after rook b6, the only other sensible move is king to b2, which also loses, rook a2 check, king to b1, b2, and now if he takes my rook, I queen. So he found rook c6 check, which is probably the best defense. Rook takes c6, king takes a2, and now rook c1, winning a piece because I'm threatening to queen, and eventually I won the game. So this position was one of the hardest I had to solve in a game in a long time. This was really complicated. I hope you guys got it. Okay, second position. This is also from one of my games, so pause the video, solve it, write your analysis down, and see you in a minute. Okay, so I'm playing black here, and I'm 2 pawns up. Seemingly, this should be a winning position, but it's really hard to figure out how and why. And once you do figure the position out, you realize that even with 2 extra pawns, this is a draw. In fact, black is the one who could easily lose and not white. So here you have a choice. Any of these 3 moves basically lead to the same position if you did understand what you were trying to do. Might be kind of risky to go to c8. Well, but it should lead to the same thing. Because even if you go to c8, then this should be fine for you. Now I think you actually do win. The black king cannot move to d6. So the point of this position is white wants to go here, take the pawn and queen his h-pawn and win the game. Black wants to push his e-pawn, queen his e-pawn and win the game. Once you realize what's going on, you should understand that neither side can really win if both sides play correctly. The plan to get most out of this position is to use the opposition to force the white king into the corner. Once the white king gets to one of these 2 squares, you want to be able to get to a corresponding square and block the king in. If the white king takes the f-pawn on its way down, that makes the situation easier. It makes it easier for black to draw, because you can then just go king f8, king f7, and it should be a draw. And eventually white is going to be put in Zugzwang. He's going to have to push his c-pawn because he will have no more moves. Then you take and then it's a draw. So I played king c6, and even though I understood that this position is a draw with correct play, I still saw some winning chances. So he played king f6. Now there are several ways to draw, which I taught during the game. One of them is to play e5 to give up a pawn, which seemed more complicated. If I go e5, he plays king e5, and now again the opposition, king c5. If he goes king f6, I go king d6. If he goes king f7, I go king d7. And now you just follow the king wherever it goes. King f8, king d8. King f7, king d7. King g8, king e8. King h7, king f7, draw. Eventually, this is going to happen. Pushes the pawn, get here, he has to play c4. Now, if both sides queen, it's a draw, so you should just probably take the pawn and that's stalemate. So, after king f6, e5 was an option, which I saw during the game, but I couldn't see everything, so I went for king d7, which seemed easier. And now, as I said, if he takes the pawn, if he plays king takes f7, then I just play e5. He plays king g7, and again, you follow the king wherever it goes. King h7, king f7, draw. No way to make progress. If you try e4, then you lose. Okay, because king takes g6, e3 h7, e2 h8 queen, e1 equals queen, and white's king is safer. White has an extra pawn. Of course, it could be a draw, but an engine wins. So after king d7, king g7 was played. He didn't take the pawn, and now you just have to follow the king. King e7. He played king g8 here. Doesn't really matter. If he takes on h7, then I go king f8, and I went e5. King takes h7, king f8, and again we have a drawn position in which white only has 2 more moves. He can play king h8 and h7, after which his only move is going to be c4, and it's going to be a draw. However, white has to be very careful here, and this is what I saw before playing king c6, and this is what makes the position interesting. If he tries to stalemate himself before he trades off the pawn, he actually loses because black has gained the tempo. So the correct way for white to play is to play c4, which forces black to make a decision. If you take the pawn, it's a draw immediately. There is no way to make progress because you don't have enough time to break the white king from his fortress. White doesn't have enough time to do that, or black doesn't have enough time to to make the king not stalemated. If you, for example, go king h8 with white and I go f6, trying to, well, create some squares for the king, then g f6, and if I try king f7, then he just goes h7, and that's it. It's just game over. If you ever take this pawn, then of course white is the one who's going to win. So against c4, the most logical thing you can do is, instead of taking the pawn, you can play e4. So white has 4 more moves. Whatever he does, he can either go ed or he can go c5. So he has 4 more moves. You are 3 moves away from queening, he is 4 moves away from queening. So the most interesting variation is c5, e3, c6, excuse me, and now king e7. This is crucial. You have to stop this pawn. And now if white does nothing, if he just pushes the pawn, he just loses. So king g8 or king g7 makes a ton of sense. e2, h7, e1 queen, h8 queen, and this with precise play should be a draw. However, this was the most interesting thing for white to do, and the most precise was to play c4. And if black wants to keep any winning chances, then against c4 he has to enter this position, because dc4 is an immediate draw. In the game though, my opponent blundered. He reversed the move order and he wanted to stalemate himself first. He played king h8, and now black just wins e4. If he tries c4 now, which he did, I can just ignore it because I just gained the tempo. I play e3, cd5, e2. He played king h7 here, which makes no sense. It was actually better to try and stalemate himself. However, if he now moves the pawn, this is mate, so it doesn't work. He played king h7, I played queen e1 equals queen, d6, and now queen e6. And the idea is to play f5 and here. Of course, if he pushes the pawn, then I can safely take it. He goes here. And again, I just have to mate him now. I can just play. The only thing I shouldn't do is move my f-pawn because it's stalemate, but it's actually not stalemate. He can play h7. So yeah, I should move my f-pawn, and this is checkmate. So yeah, my opponent lost that game, which should have been a draw. I thought this endgame was very interesting. It took me some time to understand during the game. I'd actually spent a lot of time during this endgame, and I think it's an interesting practical endgame which should help your future chess endeavors. Okay, I hope you liked the first daily chess test. Hope you solved both positions, or at least got some correct analysis in. Hope you wrote it all down, and my suggestion is take a notebook and just write down all of your analysis every day, and that way you will have a great learning resource later on. Okay, thank you very much for watching. See you tomorrow. Let me know what you think about this concept. I'm trying to help my friends and help you guys at the same time. Excuse me. And stay tuned for more chess. Bye bye.